Good morning, good morning. What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is February the 6th. JT here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. Hope y'all are ready to get into it. Let me check all of our signals here. I'm over in the chat for the morning live stream. Cool. That looks good. YouTube looks good. OBS says everything's good. All right, cool. Let's rock and roll then. Let's see. Can I make this a little bit smaller? That would be cool if I could do that. Oh, maybe I can. Sorry, I'm messing around with my window sizes and layouts here on Discord so I can maybe see things a little easier. Okay, cool. So let's dig in. We've got some stuff to talk about. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you. Also, good morning to, maybe I'm going to unhide those names for now. What's up, Amor? Good to see you. Good morning. All right, so let's dig in. We've got some stuff to catch up on as far as some trade plan reviews to get through. Lots of things hitting our upside price targets, AVGO and NVIDIA, especially all three upside targets hit. We'll talk about ES a little bit, and then of course we'll get into doing some new trade plans live here on the stream. So buckle up, get ready to go. If you're here in either of the chats, please feel free to say good morning and feel free to go ahead and start dropping any ticker requests you might have. What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good to see you. Good morning to you as well. And as always, all right, let's go. Spotify. We were just talking about Spotify and Siri and all that the other day, so I like that. We'll take a look at spot for sure. All right, so let's go. What are we seeing here on ES futures? Things have finally started to look like they've broken out of this area of consolidation. Overall, this pattern was, and I probably neglected to mention this on the last live stream. Sometimes I, think things and don't actually say them. Try to point these patterns out though whenever we see them. So overall, what we had here was kind of an ascending wedge pattern. You keep having these higher lows moving higher and higher, keep running up against the same resistance, so the same wall of sellers up here. Eventually, as buyers keep stepping in at higher levels and the area for profit starts to become less attractive for these sellers, eventually these sellers give up, allow the price to push through and look for another spot to potentially short. I'm guessing probably somewhere up here in the supply zone. So anyway, ascending wedge pattern. For you folks, just real quick, one that I noticed and probably never mentioned on a previous stream, and those tend to be bullish, just generally speaking. Obviously, with any trade pattern, you've got to wait for the price action to break out, to validate the pattern and validate the direction. But generally speaking, ascending wedge patterns tend to be bullish. So we got the breakout. We got over 60, 68.50 that we had been buttoned up against continually. Got the 200 crossing just below the 333 here, but lagging indicators, so not too worried about that. 333 is still heading to the upside, and the 200 seems to be trying to flatten out and potentially even shift back to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. This may be a pretty short-term crossover here on the hourly. We are running up against the next kind of key resistance overhead there at 6102, but if we can get through that, I think we get up into this supply zone and start testing, if not the bottom of the supply zone, at the very well may test near the top of the supply zone in that 6150 level. So keep an eye on 6102 for the market to potentially leg higher, and obviously rising tide potentially raising all ships. That should help inform your decision making as far as whether you are looking for buy the dip opportunities or looking for market laggards that need to catch up, that sort of thing. If we continue in a bullish direction, those are the picks that you want to look for versus chasing the stuff that's already run. So anyway, that is ES futures. Things are looking, again, overall strong, healthy, moving to the upside. Hopefully a lot of this, trade war tariff stuff is settling down and going to move into the background and not be so much at the forefront of what's happening in the markets, because it just creates a lot of unpredictability. Makes it very challenging, especially for options traders, to ride out some of that volatility, because premiums are just going nuts when that stuff's happening. So Moving on to some of our trade plan reviews, we've got AVGO. This was from the member selected tickers. Trade plan posted Sunday evening in the Xtrades Discord community. So we've had this one on watch since Monday. It finally got things to flip over, just barely, but got things to flip over here on Neptune going into the Tuesday. We talked about it Tuesday pre-market. It did give us the break above, came back tested nicely, and really consolidated against that call entry as support there at 220. A little dip down below to the 200 SMA, but again, nothing but a quick test there, and ultimately still pushed back to the upside. Never ever got really anywhere close to testing the stop loss average down level on this plan. So AVGO broke out and stayed healthy and just absolutely ripped that same evening right after the market closed. Went on to tap PT3 there going into the latter half of the day yesterday. So all upside targets hit and a fantastic overnight swing. If you took really any entry once we got the break over 220, you were essentially aces from that point forward all the way up to PT3 with, a quick overnight swing. Still running up against PT3 here pre-market. So if you haven't already scaled out heavily for profit, please do that. Do not be greedy. These trade plans do not continue on into infinity and just continue grinding up. At some point there will be pullbacks, and then you're just wind up chasing a fill to the downside, which is never a fun process to go through. So make sure you're taking profits and moving up your stops. The only way I would really say is if you have some runners and you have a broker that offers like trailing stops, for example, throw a trailing stop on some runners and see how far they go, knowing that eventually you will get stopped out on a pullback to the downside. But who knows how long that run to the upside might go, depending on how much room you give it. So AVGO, great plan, great result. NVIDIA as well, another one where we got the breakout there Tuesday. We talked about it pre-market on the live stream. Broke out, got to PT1, back tested, so there was your opportunity. If you missed the first run to the upside, came and gave us the back test. Did struggle a little bit with these SMAs during the day there on Tuesday, but then Wednesday pre-market really got some legs and started pushing, gave us a break above, back test of the 333 SMA right there, and then from that point forward is just on to PT3 and then some. So it's pushing even higher here pre-market. Let's get over to the playbook, see if we have, because that's just my recap chart. It's not all my NVIDIA levels. Let's see what we've got overhead that looks interesting. Yeah, 127.64 up to this 129.03. This tends to be a range that NVIDIA treats with a lot of respect, whether it be as resistance or support. So I'd keep an eye on this range to potentially put some hedges in place, or if you have some longer dated calls that are currently in the money, another option would be to sell some shorter dated calls out of the money to try to get some sort of protection in at this point in case it goes flat or struggles for a little bit before moving higher. So NVIDIA moving nicely, all upside targets hit. Again, a great plan and a great result. Microsoft has really been a no trade so far. Kind of looked a little bit like a breakout there, but hasn't really ever broken below, at least not during the cash session, the stop loss average down level. It is starting to look a lot better. If we get another break over 414.76, we no longer have these moving averages overhead at that point. We'll be breaking out above all that. 200 starting to curl up. 333 is trying to flatten out. Neptune's bullish. We've got a long signal on it. So keep a close eye on Microsoft going into the day today. I think a break over 414.76, a nice confirmed break, potentially a break above with a back test, could result in a fantastic entry for the upside of this trade plan to play out. And again, this plan is posted in the Xtrades Discord, in the Elite Options chat, or whatever it's called these days. The channels have been shifting and changing and all kinds of stuff a lot lately, which is, happens. Sometimes we have to make changes and evolve. But I just forget what the name is off the top of my head. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me get a little more coffee in there. Okay. So on Tuesday's live stream, we did Old Dominion Freight Lines. This was for unknown reviews. It was essentially a no trade, was leaning a little bit bearish going into that earnings report Wednesday morning. Clearly, it looks like their results were good. Decently good. I mean, they were beat top and bottom, not a massive beat. But that pushed it straight up to the upside, tapped that weekly level. We didn't pick it as one of our key levels. I may have talked about perhaps choosing between 198 and 79 and 238. I'm surprised I didn't lean with the weekly level, but is what it is. I picked one level higher, and it wound up rejecting at 198.79. Hard to tell. I wouldn't really rely on any of this pre-market price action. This is not one that really trades, has any real trading volume during the extended hour session. So this is one of the occasions where I would probably look at this chart on the regular trading hours. So for those who kind of wonder about, like, do I use extended hours or do I use regular hours? For me, generally speaking, I use and lean toward extended hours. For everything, it really also helps with your indicators. But if you see something like this where essentially you just have like nothing but these little hash marks, there's no real candles anywhere, and some of them are kind of just all over the place, those are ones where I tend to move it over to the regular trading hours chart, because there's just no real trading volume or really any trades actually happening, I would say, during those extended trading hour session. So Old Dominion Freight Line, again, earnings report boost, took it to the upside, hit some targets, never broke to the downside. I guess maybe that was the only real indicator of what might have happened. But again, earnings reports very, very challenging to kind of estimate or anticipate. Uber was another one we did on Tuesday's live stream. It opened early into the morning, broke up or made a sharp move to the upside, came back tested the stop loss average down before then breaking to the upside, giving us some back tests before pushing to PT1. However, that earnings report was the following morning. So even though we had hit PT1, if you were trading options, wasn't anything you could do about it. And also swinging into an earnings report, very, very dangerous as well. So this one ultimately, rejected from PT1 for calls, shot all the way down to PT3 for puts, tried to bounce and hold there yesterday, but broke down a little bit, got closer to this weekly level, and it has bounced since then. Doesn't really look great for a continuation to the upside for recovery. I don't know, probably not until it gets back over this put entry up at 67.06. There's lots of opportunities for rejections until it clears over that. So if you want to keep that on watch for a potential recovery level, 67.06 is the one I'd be watching. What is up, Josh? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. All right, so Uber, again, earnings report came into the mix, but again, that's the danger of swinging options overnight twofold, right? One, if there's an earnings report, clearly I strongly advise against swinging any options through earnings reports. But the other part is we can hit our targets, our analysis can play out, and we can see things pull back and perhaps reject. Maybe PT1 is all we get. And so that can, turn what was ultimately a good plan into a losing trade, which, again, that happens, just part of the risk of swinging options, which is why we always recommend, if you are going to swing, make sure you have lots and lots of time. But just because you have lots of time doesn't mean hold forever and ignore, everything that shows you that your plan's invalidated. Be willing to take those losses and move on to the next trade. That's the other part of it. So Uber is what it is. And then TU, what was this one? Telus or Telus or something? Yeah, Telus Corporation. They were a wireless and communications company, but aren't they Canadian, if I remember correctly? Yeah, headquartered in Canada. So they've kind of just been moving sideways. No plan in effect as of yet. And I'm just refreshing my memory on the volume. Volume's okay. And they do have an earnings report coming up in 7 days. So, keep all that in mind. But so far, Telus has not told us much about what we should do as far as any kind of actionable trades. So with that being said, that covers our recaps. Whatever, we'll save and close. Sure, I'm just going to clean up my tabs here real quick. All right, let's get to some of these new trade plan requests. SPY chart. We didn't go over SPY K-Money, but if you want to talk about it real quick, we can. So SPY plan recap from yesterday. This is very much how I was watching things. Ultimately, really struggling to get over that call entry, nothing that looked like a very good confirmed break here on the put side. We did get a little bit of a close below, maybe even a quick liquidity sweep if we look at it on the 15-minute. Let's see. Yeah, so if you look at that on the 15-minute, and again, people ask this a lot, you know, how do you confirm breaks, all that sort of stuff. You know, obviously I've got a video out that I need to update where I'll maybe even get into the 15-minute as well, but I've got a video out that focuses very much on the 5-minute and some very kind of rigid rules. Again, I've said it multiple times in multiple different places. You know, those are kind of just a quick way for folks to start to get an idea of confirming breaks. That's not the, you know, the only way to do it. And I take a lot into account when I'm confirming level breaks or not. Like I was talking with Chris the other day about we had a candle close above. We had a really good back test of a confluence of support at the call entry. And so for me, it was either a call entry or put entry, but I'm pretty sure it was call. Came back, gave us the back test. I was already in the contracts while Chris was kind of still sitting there saying, well, we're just waiting for the second 5-minute candle to close. You know, again, it's a lot of it's circumstantial, right? So anyway, point being, you know, when you see something like this where you start to get closes below, but they're not looking like very strong closes, or it's maybe even starting to already get bought back up on the following candle, take a look at the 15-minute. So when in doubt, zoom out, right? That old saying or adage. See if it just looks like a liquidity sweep. And as you can see, it looks like a massive liquidity sweep on this 15-minute candle, even though it looks like it was starting to confirm on the 5-minute. So some things to just always keep in mind so you don't get sucked in to those trades too early. Ultimately, did bounce, rejected that call entry again, then started to struggle with this Neptune selling pressure that got thrown into place right after the break below the bullish flag down here. So struggle with that momentarily, but then we got our really nice test right here of this confluence of the 200 SMA and our stop loss average down, a key level there at 616. I pointed this out yesterday. That's an entry I'm willing to take a shot at and at least look to scale some out on a retest of the top of this flag and then see if we do ultimately break through. And as you can see, once we did break through, it was off to the races, ran up, finally got to PT3 right there at the close. So yeah, beauty of a plan, great execution yesterday. So I hope you guys were able to follow that. And hopefully some of what we talked about here this morning, as far as maybe even checking that 15-minute every once in a while when you're considering, you know, whether or not something's been confirmed or not, would be, you know, another thing to start to incorporate into your approach to trade planning. Entry exit according to NTS, or I just got lucky practicing trade, so any input would be appreciated. First white square. Let me circle back to that, Josh. I'm more than happy to talk about it on this stream if we have some time left, but I do want to focus on trade plans first. But let's try to take a look at it for sure. I will try to get back to that before we wrap up this morning. All right, so we've got unknown reviews in the mix with Spot. You guys who are in the Discord over on the YouTube side of things, you all in Discord, feel free to start dropping some tickers in the chat that you want me to take a look at that we can do some plans for, because we are going to get into it right now. Let's go. All right, so Spot requested by unknown reviews. Over in the YouTube side of things, just reported earnings moving to the upside. Revenue was up, earnings down slightly. Well, earnings were down more than revenue was up. I'm not sure what they said in the way of guidance or anything like that, but clearly the market liked whatever they had to say. All right, there was a trend line here at some point, and that's been a while since I've done my levels on Spotify here, so let me clean this up real quick. All right. So, and I don't think we look back, Spotify's kind of, yeah, all-time highs. So that's okay. All right. Let's take a look at this then. See what we can get on the daily chart, if we can get anything. It's a level of interest there. Yeah, probably not going to see much else there. I'm not surprised by all that. Let's get into some of these hourly charts though, and then we're obviously going to need to work on some fibs here. So that'll be a nice little technical analysis conversation lesson in just a moment. Yeah, not seeing a ton on that 4 hour either. So let's just go ahead and get right into the hourly, see if we can find at least some areas of interest, even though they may not be perfectly formed or confirmed support and resistance levels. We can still, as you get better at this at least, start to read between the lines. Let me hide these indicators also. I want to see these candles and nothing but these candles. Yeah, post it right here. Okay, money. Apple, sure, we'll try to take a look at Apple. Yeah, okay, all right, well, let's get to some fibs then. That's an interesting pre-market rejection that we haven't surpassed. So if we're accounting for extended hours, this is the current all-time high. Definitely based off that 536.35, so I'd be curious to see what our retracements look like. Going back that way, where that projects. Whoa, why did that 100% move? Let me try that again. That was weird. Huh. I wonder why it keeps locking to that candle. All right, let me go the other way with this though, which is really kind of how I prefer to look at it, which is our trend-based fib extension. See where this trend really started off. Yeah, I think it really does. There is one. It's probably a pretty quick one. Oh, duh, hang on. Sorry, let me fix my drawing settings here. I was doing something else, probably on a mentoring session, I would guess. Extend right, there we go. That's what I'd like to see. All right. Yeah, probably sits somewhere like that, closer to a regular trading hours trend. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, it's right about where I expected it to line up. Okay. So, I mean, really, there's not a whole lot that's been established that would keep us from at least taking a shot up here at 650. I'm sorry, 645.46. Momentary dyslexia there. First target. Now, when I'm doing these fib extensions, personally, I think if we can get over the 382, we tend to see the 618. You know, the 50% is in the mix there, though. It's another $11 move. All right. You know what? For those of you who are watching and following along, I'm going to go ahead and just say, plan to look to take some profit and potentially a rejection or resistance there at 656.64. But overall, I'd be looking for a push. If we can get over 645.18, that first really kind of tough fib extension, I'd be looking for 667.78 and then 683.70. You know, as long as you give your trade plenty of time. I do see a possible stop loss average down right in here around 615.89. Could give it a little bit more room down to that fib extension 609.26 level. But my concern with that is then you start to flip the risk reward the wrong direction. If we're just looking at a PT1 risk reward. It's probably already right on the line or slightly upside down. Let's take a look at that. It's right on the line, like it's right out of 1-to-1. So I think it's prudent. There is a level in here where we're seeing some decent rejections and decent support, even though we have minimal candle data to work with that would say, okay, there's a reasonable case to be made to move that stop loss up a little bit higher and keep that risk reward in a better ratio. So take a look at that and get that extra stuff out of the way. So then to the downside becomes the next question. There's a potential 618 fib pretty close to where these candles are sitting, and nothing else really to work with here. So a little bit of a tricky one here. Unknown reviews, but I like it. I like a challenge. I think we're looking at that as our entry. And again, I'm kind of reading, whoops, shoot, didn't mean to change that. Kind of reading the tea leaves here a little bit, just using my, experience with reading price action to spot where I think some of these levels are sitting. We could even take a look at the 30-minute. In fact, let's do that. Let's not totally operate off of my experience alone. Yeah, I mean, that could even be potentially a little higher. So we look at this 30-minute. Could be a tad higher, actually. Like right about there. I also think these fibs could be a little higher too. So let's fix that. Right about there-ish. So I think that this would make for a good first price target in that scenario. Good morning. Doing live stream on the 85. Ooh, bro, I like it. That is a sweet setup, Trading Dad. I love it. God, I thought I had a big one. I got a 49-inch ultra wide, ultra curve Samsung Odyssey that I like to use. That's pretty slick, but your 85-inch there's got me beat. Very nice. I like it. Okay, so this is what our downside trade plan looks like. Let's talk through these real quick. All right. And let's also cut these indicators back on. I don't expect really there to be anything that changes my mind too much. Yeah, about any of these trade plans. So let's talk through these real quick. Let me hide these two because they're kind of, I don't know, just tend to find them to be a bit noisy. All right, so what are we looking for here on Spotify? We're looking for a break over 630.83. That should give us, oops, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you guys the plans first. Veritas, is it possible to look at McDonald's? Sure, we can try to take a look. Small pullback for a bounce. Yeah, I like that setup. Unknown reviews, small pullback maybe to 615.89 and then bounce. Is that what you were looking at? Could even pull back. Actually, if it gets a pullback to 609.26, I'd buy that dip for sure. I like that a little bit better than 615.89. So just an FYI for those of you who are paying attention and marking these levels on your charts, even if they aren't the specific ones I'm picking out. Okay, so spot live stream plan. Let's go. And then let's go to the elite chat, post it there real quick. Come on, everyone. Boom, boom. All right, so what are we looking at here on Spotify? We're looking for a break above 630.83. That should give us targets at 645.18, 667.78, and 683.70 with a stop loss average down at 615.89. Don't forget potential buy the dip on a small pullback off of 609.26. If you do that, I would use 596.47 as my stop. So that's kind of the read between the lines plan here. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 596.47. That should give us targets at 571.96, 558.57, and 536.35 with a stop loss average down at 615.89, shared with the upside trade plan, right? You know what? No, I'm going to take that back. I don't know why I didn't do this in the first place. That's kind of staring me right in the face. Sorry, my apologies. Let's take this back. Spot revised plan. I'll go ahead and go back to this elite chat. Also, sorry, folks. Revised spot plan. There we go. All right. So, to the downside, break below 596.47, targets at 571.96, 558.57, and 536.35. Stop loss average down at 609.26. That is your spot upside and downside trade plan, as well as that kind of read between the lines by the dip off of 609.26. 596.47 is your stop. If you buy that dip off of 609.26, first target would be all-time high there at 630.83 in my opinion. All right, let's go. What do we got next? Excuse me. Let's see. Let me catch up on. Plus, I'm also, yeah. CP&G is in beast mode. Can you take a look at Path also? Yeah, we did Coupang recently. It is crushing. Can we take a wait? No, we had. Sorry, let me make sure I've got all this in order. Ticker request NBIS. What is NBIS? That's a new one for me personally. Don't get a lot of tickers that I don't know right off the top of my head. Nebius. No clue. Tech services. Market overreaction or real AI disruption. So they are in the AI space. So they're kind of AI data center, it sounds like. European AI data center. Okay, well, they're in the AI space, so that's almost all you need to know, right? They got that pullback. I'm guessing this was the DeepSeek pullback. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. Again, one I've not really ever looked at before. The only other, hide indicators. Come on, bro. There we go. Only other thing I want to check here, I'm sure the volume's good if it's in the AI space. Yeah, volume's decent. Earnings in 8 days, so that's also to be considered. Enough room, though, for an entry and for some time to let things play out on some swing opportunities here, potentially. They have clearly shifted what they do over time, though, because they've been around for a while to be in the AI space. All right, well, let's take a look. Sorry, I don't know why my sinuses started to act up all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's gonna be floating somewhere in the, yeah, okay. Question is, let's see, 33.93, 43.51. Get some more real estate on the screen here. Yeah, if you really want this to mess up your eyeballs trading data, I could expand this window out that's currently half of my screen and make it full screen, which is going to make it like impossible to see. But that's how I like to look at my charts. It gives you a lot of horizontal room and a lot of candle data all at once. Ultra wide monitor, great investment for traders, in my opinion. Oh yeah, I got something around there for sure, and right here. All right, we'll probably take a look going down as far as this if we get a confirmed level there, which we do. and there. I do like how this does some nice rally-based rally moves, which helps finding support and resistance, or makes it easier, I should say. I think I need to make a slight adjustment to this level. That doesn't look quite right in the bigger picture. I'm gonna place mark that. I'm not totally convinced on that level. And let's take a look at, there is something floating right around here. That'll probably be the highest we go. All right, let's start digging into this, peel back the layers. Yeah, we were close. Probably really sits right about there as a daily level. This one, yeah, now that we can see a little bit better, I think this one sits more right about there as a daily level. Okay, let's focus on this recent PA. That's an interesting level we'll want to keep an eye on. All right, in the interest of trying to get to this and at least one more trade plan, I'm going to accelerate this. I think I've caught all the major big picture levels I want to see. All right, that gives me an idea of where all that's at. So I think we're looking at an entry. Yeah, right in this neck of the woods, maybe just a little bit higher. First price target, even though it does take us a little bit above this weekly level. Actually, let's zoom in on this real quick. Yeah, it really does. We could shoot a little higher to 38.63. I'm gonna actually stick with using that weekly level first. I'm just thinking we test getting into that gap before we see a real rejection, but 60 cents, I'm not gonna shoot too high and have folks holding too long and not taking profit, is kind of my thought process there. Trying to look out for y'all. Yeah, there is a level right. Man, I need to get some WD-40 or something on my chair here. I didn't realize how squeaky it was. I feel like that's just started recently. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really debating where this stop loss level needs to sit. I don't want us to get out too early. Yeah, this is good right here. All right, so then that gives us a second target. Again, could stretch a little higher for the gap fill. I'm going to go ahead and say start scaling out at that daily level there at 40.84. Third target, back up to that weekly retest of 43.51. Downside does look pretty decent. I think this level does need a slight adjustment. Does look pretty decent below this 31.59 slightly adjusted level. This weekly also needs a tiny adjustment. Takes us down to 29.28 for a first target. Probably have a fill in the blank level sitting somewhere about here-ish. I would be willing to bet. Let's see if we can't confirm that. Yeah, looks pretty good. And then on down to this weekly level, third target. All right, that looks pretty good. So let's talk through this, throw this back on. Yeah, that looks fine. I already know where they sit here. That looks good. Check one more real quick. Yeah, that gives us some room to the upside to work, even though there is selling pressure there. 200 still crossing over the 333 on the 4-hour and still trending to the upside too, for what it's worth. Okay, cool. So this will be, and we're right at about a 1-to-1 on that upside, a little better than 1-to-1, starting off to the downside. Obviously, overall, the plans account for much more than that. These are your NBIS live stream plans. Yeah, I hope not too. I don't like being sick. It's no fun. All right, and let's drop this in the elite chat as well at everyone. All right, so on NBIS, which again, what was the name of this company? Nebius. On Nebius, we're looking for a break over 35.70. That should give us targets at 38.02, 40.84, and 43.51, with a stop loss average down at 33.45. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 31.59. That should give us targets at 29.28, 26.86, and 24.83, with a stop loss average down shared with the upside trade plan there at 33.45. All right, let me get back over to the chat real quick. Let me catch up on what's going on there. 23% on, up 23% on Coupang. I know you guys were talking about that a second ago. Wasn't there a request for Apple from K Money? Let's take a look at Apple real quick. I know that's been up and down and all around. They just had earnings, pumped, pulled back hard, dividend payout coming up here in the near future. Interestingly enough, right back in the range of a recent trade plan. Just looking at how this chart's marked up. Do we just run it back? I mean, it's... How long ago did we do this trade plan? Oh man, this is from forever ago. It's from November of 25th of last year. But here we are, full circle, and still playing out. Upside to PT1, upside to PT1. I almost, and I mean, same thing to the downside, hitting downside targets below our put entry. So clearly we had good levels from back in November. I'm just kind of sitting here strongly considering just reusing this old plan. I think one thing I would change looking at it here at a glance is I'd probably throw this in as a slightly more conservative stop loss for the downside. Would I? Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't want to get shook out too early. Yeah, it's not going to be a big difference maker. Actually, I would not change that. Take that back. I probably would. There is a small gap to fill up to 233.91. And lots of activity around that too. I think I would make a couple of adjustments here, actually. But overall, kind of like a lot of what's already here. I would play the... I know it's a kind of a quick PT1, PT2, but kind of two good resistance levels, and there's enough room there to snag a little bit more profit. So I would make that adjustment, kind of a, like I said, close PT1, PT2. Let me read between the lines here a little bit more on... I was thinking somewhere around this placeholder level that I never circled back to and confirmed. Let's check this going back a little further. Looking back here almost makes me want to lower it even more, something closer to there. Just check a couple more runs through this area. Let's see if we can get some here pretty quickly. Yeah, there's something right around this level that I think would say, or that indicates to me, go ahead and book the rest of your profits here. Again, another one that I want to go back and review some more to really confirm what this looks like on a few different time frames, but yeah, I think that makes sense. So I would make those adjustments for the upside targets. I like the upside entry and stop loss where it is, just slightly conservative, more conservative PT 1 and 2 for the upside. Downside, anything that's really changed in my mind or developed since the last plan we did for this, there is a level that is slightly higher here that I'd be shooting for. Then I think we've got, a pretty good shot at PT2 to the downside. And I don't know if we've really got much in the way. That PT3 is pretty close to where I'd have it actually. So I think that's fine. Okay, cool. I like it. So here are the Apple trade plans. I like that our past selves did most of the work on this this one for our future selves to come back to and say, yeah, it's right there. Let's go. Yeah, that about adds up. I mean, getting out a little bit before probably that max selling pressure kicks in, I think is prudent. Yeah, cool. I'm fine with it. Right as we have it right now. Some volatile consolidation on Apple right now too, to be noted. And they, I think, more than many of the big name companies, have a lot riding on our relationship with China. You know what? I'm going to move these levels over. I do think this is getting to be a bit noisy for anybody to just look at a chart and be able to follow what's happening. So let's throw this on a recap chart real quick. Whoops. Do I have any drawings on here? Oops. Yep. Remove those, copy those, or paste those, I mean. There we go. That looks better. All right, let's go. Apple, whoops. Apple, come on, live stream plan. And get this over to the elite chat. All right, so what are we looking for here on Apple? We're looking for a break back above 231.72. That should give us a first price target up there at 233.02. then on up to 233.91 and 235.15 being the rest of those upside targets, with a stop loss average down at 230.52. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 229.13 with targets at 227.68, 225.99, and 224.27 with a stop loss average down shared with the upside at 230.52. All right, we are 10 minutes out from market open, folks. Let me just quickly take a look at the elite chat, see if there's anything, or not the elite chat, the live stream chat. Let me see if there's anything else I can do or help with very quickly. Oh, nice. I love it, Trading Dad. The SPY plan is where it is at, my friend. All right, unfortunately, the rest of you folks who dropped ticker requests in here that I wasn't able to get to, I do apologize. I try to get through as many as we possibly can during our limited time here pre-market, but I need at least 10 minutes to take a look and get my SPY plan together and hopefully get alerts set on some of these charts. So, if you are in the Xtrades Discord, feel free to shoot me a DM or drop something in the, I guess you could do update requests or something like that. Just make sure you tag me wherever you drop the request so I can think to circle back to you and try to get you some insights on any trade plans or tickers that I wasn't able to get to this morning. But I want to thank you all, as always, for joining me this morning. I really do appreciate it. We will be back next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday and Thursday for these FOMO live streams. Unless the market's closed, we'll be here. So with that being said, thank you guys again so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. As we always say here on the FOMO live stream, plan your trades, trade your plans, keep your wins big, keep your losses small, go out there and get some green. I will see you guys in the chats. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you back here next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.